desire perfecting the heart. Okay? The one thing I love about Paul, Saul of Tarsus, Paul, is it was very clear that he had something to do, and it was very clear that he finished what he came to do. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I want you guys to go here with me on a few things, and let's just evaluate our lives, okay? And this is just right where I am, and I'm in it. I'm in it. All the emotions are there. God's speaking. I'm being transformed while all the emotions are there. I'm not talking about good, sweet emotions. I'm talking about holy crap emotions, right? And then, well, what do you have to lose emotions? And all right, so here we go. I have 3 pages. Isn't that cool? Be ye inclusive as I am inclusive. Well, we are. Don Keithley said we're an all-inclusive house. Okay, so grow in desire to perfect the heart. The word heart in Greek is cardia. It's the center of man. It's the center of desire. That's what it means. The core of who you are, the center of emotions. When it says heart, that's in the Greek. In Aramaic, I believe it's huba, if I'm saying that correct. It's a fire that's kindled. So the center of who you are, the heart of who you are, we're not talking about a physical heart. The core of you, the inner man, is your inner desire. Okay? So I'm going to sound kind of rude, but I'm being rude to myself. Just pretend I'm talking to myself, then you won't get offended. But I would seriously doubt that I would guess that everybody in this room and out there listening wants to be in really good shape and wants to be really healthy and have abs. Not Spanx. Okay, sorry. But abs. All right? I would have guessed that, okay? But we're going to be honest with ourselves because there's things that we say we want, but we're not intentional. And if we don't get intentional, we'll never have what we want. And the thing that I love about Paul is he was intentional, good to see you, on what he wanted. And we're going to go through that, okay? So I have 4 things about desire. The seat of desire is your heart. The center, the seat of desire is your being, your heart. So my question to us, I'm not talking about your ego. I'm not talking about your natural man, okay? I desire, a margarita and some good guacamole that's cut up right in front of me where I can see it because it kind of grosses me out if it's not. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about at the core of who you are, you're on this planet from this time to this time. What do you want? That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Graham Cook had people put their time in months, okay? So let's say you live to be what? How old do you guys want to live to be? 110. How old are you right now? 53. So give me that. How many years is that left? He wants 57 more years. How many months is that? Someone do the math for me. Get a calculator out. Someone do the months for me, okay? Okay, so you have 684 months left if you're going to live to be 110. Graham Cook had people do this, okay? I mean, you guys might not want to be 110. Let's see what you want. But so put it down. Let's say you're going to be here another 20 years. Put it in months. You're visiting. What do you want while you're here? Paul knew what he wanted, and then he turned around and he said, yeah, I finished it. Woo! High five, right? And so we can all say we want to be healthy and we want to be in shape, but how many of us are ever going to move into it? I'm not trying to condemn you, okay? I'm wearing Spanx or whatever. I'm not condemning you. I did have abs at one time. They're coming back. Okay. So we're going to look at intentional desire. Let's do it over here. That's your ID. Because if you're not intentional, you're never going to have what you desire. Are y'all out there? Intentional desire. I want you to close your eyes really quick and in the core of who you are and just ask yourself, what do I want? If you have 300 months left, if you have 25 months left, if you have 20 years, what do you want? At the depth of who you are, what do you want to do? I'm not just talking about feeding the poor and all that. I'm talking about what do you want to accomplish? What are you here for? Okay. You can look at me. I wrote down here, there's no right or wrong answer, okay? I wrote down mine. In fact, we can print these off because my notes are so good. I thought if I could just hand out my notes, we could be done with this. But anyway, so I wrote down to know Christ in all things, to explore my union and discover my truest self. We're not going to be here that long. So how about that, So listen, guys, we have used space and time to distract us from our origin. We intentionally, I know you think you're a victim and life happened to you, okay, but you made choices. You made choices. You knew who before. Your mind may not remember, but you even knew who you're going to be born to. We used to tell our kids, you shouldn't have been born in this family if you wanted to be average. I'm sorry. Like, did you not get the memo before you came? Right? Okay. So we intentionally chose, listen to this, we intentionally chose temporal things to fill us temporarily. That's why we're not in shape. Because we do it intentionally, come into agreement. Darren would drive us nuts with the girls because they would be like it's happening to them. And he's like, no, you need to claim it. You can't do anything with your life until you first take responsibility. You were intentionally choosing to feel something temporarily that was going to only fill you temporarily. And then when you're empty when it's gone, it's because you chose it. Because we choose temporal things to fill us temporarily. I'm not telling you it's good or bad. I'm telling you it's good and bad, and it's fleeting. So the question is, what do you want? If you want to keep choosing things, that's okay. Maybe you're going to come back to the earth again and get another shot of it. I don't know. So seeds, which are thoughts, plus the soil, which is emotion, is what has grown my life's experience. My thoughts and emotions that came together and I nurtured them has given me my life's experience. I'm not talking about what your uncle did, your dad did, your grandpa did. I'm not talking about what culture did to you. I'm not talking about all of that things. I'm saying perception is everything. Yeah. So how you see it is your thoughts and the emotions that you feed, and now you've experienced it. You can have two people that go through hell, and one of them carry it with them the rest of their life. It's always happening to them, and one leaves it. Right? So that's the responsibility. Thank you. So what do you want to grow while you're here? So we're going to evaluate and be honest with ourselves. We got to be honest, guys. You don't want to be in shape. You really don't want it unless you're intentional about getting it. I mean, I want it, but I want it for free, So I want to be intentional. Okay, so this is the word. What intention means is to resolve. There's something in my life I get to resolve. When Darren left, I'm like, well, what am I here for? This is why Paul said, because the dude knew what he was here for, this is why he said, all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. He's like, I can do that, I could do that, I could do that. He wasn't putting condemnation on people that do it, but he knew what he came, and he called it a race. He said, I came here to finish something. What'd you come here to finish? So the word intention is to resolve it. First, we're going to be honest with ourselves. And then together, we're going to resolve some things. Whenever Blake's saying he's excited to see that with you, like, we all may have different intentions. But let's resolve it and let's do this thing. You know what I mean? Intentionally. So the word intention is something that you want, you plan to do, premeditatedly, and deliberately. This is what I wrote. I like this. I just made it up. Just out of the blue. Okay. Intention. Okay. Setting the mind on a path of remembrance of my origin. Realigning with Allah, which is God. Healing my whole being of all the effects of believing the lie of separation and fragmentation. I'm going to heal my whole being because I believe the lie of separation and fragmentation by bringing my whole being by my spirit, which is already in union, with my soul, emotions, and mind, and my body on a cellular level back into the original wholeness in Christ. Yeah, you might need that. So intention, Sheila's intention, setting my mind on a path of remembrance of my origin. Listen, I forget it all the time, you guys. I start dealing with fear, like we're getting our house ready to sell, and you start letting things like this because the house it doesn't serve us the way we need to be served like anymore. Like we got to get something bigger. Okay, that was a stretch and an exciting, beautiful one, at that time. But now we're like, we need something 3 times that size. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather have you guys all there. We hang out. We're not sitting in chairs like this, right? Okay, so setting my mind on a path of remembrance of my origin, realigning with God, healing my whole being from the effects of believing the lie of separation and fragmentation. Okay? So the veil is torn. There actually is no veil. There's no duality. So from my inner man, from the seat of desire, from my heart, from the Holy of Holies, I'm going to go from the inside out into the holy place, out into the outer court. If you think about it, the way we've prayed and the way we've lived is, I need something on the outer court first. So the miracles come and the miracles go and the people don't change. They got their miracle. They bought some time, but they never resolved what they were here to do. And it's only from the inner man that you're going to resolve what you're here to do. And then you just manifest it. The healing just flows through you. It just flows through you. It's the health of heaven. You have all of heaven. You have the health of heaven in and through you and in every cell. Whew. Nothing's missing. Nothing's lacking. Whew. Beautiful. So Matthew 6:5. If you want to throw it up there, it says, when you pray, don't be like the pretenders who like to stand in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets to pray, but they may be seen by the children of men. See, we're always slapping people's hands, but that's not what it's talking about. They've received their reward in full. So out in the outer court, out in the physical thing, and doing all the things and all the study and getting all the revelation, right, externally. He said, when you pray, when you attune into God, that picture we saw of attuning in, when you attune in and catch the wave of the Spirit, enter into your inner man, the closet. Lock the door, shut out the external world. It's a picture of meditation. It's a picture of coming within, shutting out even all the things you think you want. Praying isn't about asking for the things you want. He's not Santa, right? Let Santa be Santa, right? It's a tuning in, and it's in that secret place, and what the source of all, what your Father hears in that secret place, He will reward you. From the inside out, you'll see it. Proverbs 4:23 says, watch over your heart, your inner man, the seat of desire. Keep the flame with all diligence, for from it, everyone say from it, flows the source. It escapes the springs of life. Watch over your desire. What are you here for? What is your desire? Let's be intentional now, and then you watch over it like a flame. What does a flame do when you watch over it and you tend it? It gets bigger. Listen, we are people of desire. Religion had us cut off desire. But there'll be something that will drive you, a burning passion. It'll consume you. It'll be health to your body. It'll be, life to your mind. It'll be health to all around you. It's not a driving that's a turmoil. It's a passion. You guys ever done something that you're just like, yeah, you feel really fulfilled that you did it? It could be as simple as painting an ornament or doing a painting or, doing a garden. It doesn't matter, but you created it out of desire. You can click it back on if you want the AC just a little bit. It's what's the lyrics of that song? When you look at that woman in her eyes and you can see your unborn children, then you really love a woman. It's Bryan Adams. Everyone is. Because we always said you need to look in their eyes, man. If you see some really crazy, ugly kids, you need to run. What you see in those eyes of crazy kids. But I'll never forget when I started seeing Darren and seeing his face and his features, and I would dream about it. Like, I can't wait. Out of desire, you create. Right? And I remember, y'all, I could have just given birth. Like, literally, like 30 seconds later, if they would have come in and said, you're pregnant, I'd be like, oh, it's awesome. Probably, maybe not. Okay, that's a little adventurous. But I never prevented it. Like, I would have had as many as I could. It's just like, it's like you're carrying around this beautiful lava lamp that turns into a big person. It's awesome. It's your belly's like lava. Right. All right. So now we're going to intentionally use time and space. We've used time and space to be distracted from our origin. So I use time and space to be distracted from getting in shape. I'm not condemning you if you're not in shape, okay? I'm just giving you an example, okay? I planned on doing it, but not for 6 months, And so during that 6 months, time and space, I was distracted from what I said I desired. It's the same thing. We use time and space to fill us with the temporal, and it fills us temporarily. So, but we're going to flip it. We're going to intentionally, everyone say intentionally, we're going to use time and space. It's for us. We're not subject to it. It's for us. What you are not going to quit living after you leave this place and you change forms. Dear God, what'd you come here to do? What did you come here to do? I want to know. I want to see it. Woo! It's beautiful. All right. So now I'm going to intentionally use time and space, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to decide desire. I'm going to decide, settle what my desire is. I'm challenging you online to settle, to get quiet, and make a decision of what your desire is, what you're here to do. I'm not saying a big list of all the things you want to accomplish, but a statement, right? Churches have these statements of faith. Phooey on that. What's yours? What do you want to do? Paul knew what he wanted to do. You can do a whole lot of things while you're doing it, all right? So, number one, I'm going to intentionally use time and space to decide the desire. I'm going to be intentional about directing that desire, okay? I'm going to be very intentional about cultivating that desire, and then my desire is going to increase. The desire is a force, you guys. It's a force. Can you imagine? I do not believe that Jesus knew everything right off the bat. I believe that he got a little bit, and he's like, what's around the corner, man? Whoa. I believe something in him said, you think that was good? 5,000 ain't nothing. And then he's like, woo! It's like a jolt in the morning, like, what am I going to do today? So number one, you guys, we're learning to become the observer. To be conscious, everyone's about being conscious, being awakened, okay? It's learning that you're the observer, not the thinker. You literally will begin to observe spirit, and you'll start hearing and seeing the flow, and your mind, okay? The in and the out. Observe. In order to be the observer, that's why we've been teaching on neutrality. You move to a neutral place of non-judgment. If you want to locate your higher self, your God self, you've got to learn to be the observer. You have to. We have identified with who we are not. And God is teaching us, the God within us is teaching us how to locate and identify with who we are. And some of us, it's the first time you're going to meet you. And you're beautiful. Come on. We all believe the thing about getting born again. And then we just kept acting like we did before. A baby. I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee. You guys remember that song? That was not a good song about being born again, but whatever. So I become the observer. So that means I just become neutral and I listen to my thoughts. This week, my thoughts were doing all kinds of things. You'll hear things that are not real. Most of what you're hearing in your thoughts are not real. I'll be looking at this person in the grocery store, and I already can tell you what they think of me, that they were rude. I have a dialogue. It's nothing to do with that person. Most of you, when you come in a room, what you feel, you're feeling it. It's not coming from the outside. I know we want to say that we're all discerning, but if we were discerning, our lives would look a little better. You know what I mean? I mean, you're listening to a dialogue that was never you. It came from you believing the lies of fragmentation. It came from us believing the lie of separation. Listen, love doesn't even notice when it's done wrong. Love is a nature. It's the nature of who you are. It flows in the room. It flows through you and in you. You walk in and all you know is there's a flame. All I know is I'm an expression of love. You guys could all hate me and I wouldn't feel it. I just feel the love flowing through me. This is why people do the drugs and do the drinking and do the food and do whatever they can to escape from the reality they've created in their own mind. What I'm telling you, if you'll begin to observe it and quit identifying with it, we're talking about identifying, just release it, go, well, maybe that's not me. Maybe my memories aren't correct. Maybe I'm a little crazy. That's what Darren was saying when he was saying, if I am, leave me in my delusion. So you become the observer. As you become the observer and you're neutral, you're not judging yourself. You had all these sexual thoughts and you shouldn't have had them. And so then you're beating yourself up. And guess what? You're on this playground. You're locked into space and time. You're locked into the temporal because you're doing it. Okay? It's okay you had all those thoughts. Observe. Don't judge. Observe. That's when you begin to locate the truth of who you are. And you're not the pervert. You're not the angry man. You're not the vicious, murderous, blah, 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 blah. You're not. You are the love of God expressed in form. You've had experiences, and you've held on to false lies, and you begin to manifest them. Okay? Number 2 is releasing the world. Jesus didn't come into the world to judge. That means he didn't come in to make decisions what's good and bad. He came in like this. He had to learn to live neutral to this world and his own opinions and his own thoughts in order to see what Father was saying, hear what Father is saying. Okay? That's why we get neutral. Listen, your ego is going to tell you, you better not. You better get on that. You remember how you used to be so angry before? You remember how you used to throw fits before? You better stay on top of that. Okay, just go ahead and let that go. Okay, I'm not talking about punching people in the face and like pulling your gun on people in traffic. Okay, I'm not talking about that stuff. Don't just observe that. Go ahead and stop it. Okay? But begin to observe it, and then you'll see the river where it even came from. Most of you already know where it came from. Not in the sense of, I'm a victim, I can't help it, my grandpa was this way, my dad did this to me. Not that. In the sense of, this was fed through this. It's not even who I am. As soon as you observe it and you quit identifying with it, it loses its power. It's also really good if you tell somebody. The metanoia, the repentance, the tubu, I don't know, T-O-U-B-O or whatever, it means to turn within or to come up into a higher position. Repentance. The Latin, the fathers, they changed it into penance because they wanted to bully you where you have to pay something. Feel bad for what you did. The whole thing is you feeling bad for what you did keeps you identified with what you did and tells you that's who you are. So then you live in the lie of fragmentation and separation. So you're going to practice neutrality. You're releasing the world. You just release the world. Practice it all the time. You will feel opinion come up. Someone will tell you a story. Okay? They're telling you their perspective. I don't care how much you trust them. It really stinks when you start reading history books and you realize that most history is written through the victors. And then you realize, oh, crap, we don't know anything. Yeah. We know very little about anything. We think we know about politics. They don't even know what's going on, and they live in the White House. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know anything. So it's really good you just begin to release it. When you see opinion come up, you just release it. And your ego's going to tell you, you better not. You better pick a side. You better pick a side. You're going to end up evil just like them. Trust the Spirit of God. Release it. I'm talking to you about an atmosphere, okay? And then, so there's 4 things. And then the last thing is, I like this. You guys can tell me what this scripture is. Transfigure by renovation. When it says, don't be conformed to this realm, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That word transform is the same word we use for the transfiguration. The Mount of Transfiguration. We know that was supernatural. He's also talking about something here, transfiguration by renovation. In order to keep and kindle the desire, the seat of the desire, the heart of who we are, we're not going to conform to what our mind is telling us. We're not going to conform to the opinions of man, starting with our own. We're going to be transfigured by the renovation. We're learning to hear little keys in the Spirit. We dismiss the mind, and we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. Now, we were told, get in the Word, renew your mind. How's that working for you? You are here to transfigure. A full renovation. It wasn't a small thing. All right, you guys there? Okay, so neutrality in the mind. Let's look at this real quick. Philippians 4:7, if you want to throw that up there. And then we'll go back up. He said, the peace of God, this is Paul. Now listen, and you get off into any of this stuff and you start finding the discrepancies if you don't just believe everything for face value anymore. And you get in these different groups of people and they're arguing over things and whatever, I don't know. But what we were told before, we know he was in prison when he wrote the book of Philippians. What we taught in the past was he was in a Roman prison. One of the Roman prisons is they're underneath, they didn't really have palaces, but they're chained to the walls, right? And if you're a Roman citizen, you got to write a letter and receive letters. And some of the prisons had human waste in them. That's what we were taught before. But either way, he was in a prison. He very likely was chained up. He came to finish something, to complete something, and he knew it was coming to completion. Okay, this man is giving his life. He knew what the core, the seat, his heart, what his desire was, and he came to finish it out. I like this man. So here he is in Philippians, and he's writing to the church, and he says, the peace of God that transcends your mind, your understanding, will guard your hearts. The peace of God, which transcends all thinking, will guard your hearts. The seat of desire is your heart. Once you discover what your desire is, what it is here, what you're going to do, it's the peace of God that's going to guard your heart. Keep that kindle going. Like, here's this man going, how do I finish it, man? I'm in prison. Like, I came here to do a job. You know what I mean? Like, he had human emotions. Like, I want to finish this deal. That's what I respect about him so much. And then he's like, oh, it's the peace of God that's going to keep this flame. As long as the desire is there, the flame is going. What do you desire? As long as the desire is there, the flame is going. The peace of God. That word peace, I actually like it in the Greek. It's Irene, something like that. It's like Renee, Irene. It means one, listen to this, quietness of God, the rest of God. I like this, to join or tie together into a whole, the wholeness, all essential parts joined together, no fragmentation, no separation. The whole is going to keep the kindle fire. It's like you have this burning fire and the wind's getting to it. And it's the peace of God that's going to keep it burning. How do I not let this fire go out? I mean, am I done here? You know what I mean? I'm in a prison and I have a fire still. There's some things I want to finish. The peace of God, right? The word peace in shalama, in Aramaic, is to surrender. It's a calmness. The surrender of God. In other words, don't fight it. Don't be in turmoil. Be in rest. Don't resist an evil man. Rest right there in prison. Just rest right there. Recognize that there's a flame still in your heart. It's the peace of God, and it's going to protect your heart. It's going to guard your heart and your mind. The shalama, I'm saying it wrong, I'm sure, that is greater than all understanding will keep your hearts and mind. Let's go to Philippians 4:4. Here he is, he's talking, rejoice. And then he says again, rejoice. Let your humility, these are some steps. Listen, we're talking about a man that finished it. When that word finished it, it comes from the word teleos, like it is finished. Okay? Do you want to finish what you came here to do? That's what we're talking about. Okay? So here he is, and it says rejoice. Again, I'm going to tell you rejoice. That's number one. That word rejoice in Aramaic means it's like a bridal dance. Rejoice like it's your wedding day. Decide your desire. That's Darren saying, I don't care what's going on, celebrate. Yeah. So Hunter has a tattoo on her neck, right, that says celebrate, even when she was in bed very depressed because her dad left. But then when she looked in the mirror, she'd have to be like, dang it. The first key is to rejoice. Again, I say rejoice. This man's in prison. Rejoice. Again, I say rejoice. He's telling you how to keep the flame. It's like a bridal dance. It's like you're getting ready for an exchange. You're getting ready for an exchange. That's number one. Paul, man, what a stud. And verse 5, let your humility be known to everybody. Oh, be humble. Be humble, the church will tell you. No, that's not what it's talking about. It's another scripture says, here, let's go down to what this one probably says, your gentleness. Okay, I'll go to another version here. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. What's he telling them? To be sweet? I mean, come on. We made everything about being moral, being kind, right? No, that word is a yielding, a meekness. It's a meekness from the inside out. It's deciding your desire. Redecide. You're going through hell. Redecide. Make another decision. Set it back in place. Can you see the fire? Everything in you wants to quit. Your heart is broken. Make a decision. That word gentleness or humility means a yielding. In Greek, it's a yielding, a mild forbearing. Listen to this. It means equitable, fair, equity, justice, properly equitable, just, and fair. Now listen to this. Gentle in the sense of truly fair by relaxing over strict standards in order to keep the spirit of the law. Justice beyond ordinary justice. It builds on the real intent or the purpose of what is really at stake. It is true equity that is fulfilled in the spirit and not just the letter. In other words, you can't fake it. To the core of who you are, you've already learned yieldedness. You've already learned gentleness. You've already learned this place of calmness. You're chained to the wall. Your heart is broken. It looks like your life is over. You're going to be so at peace, it's going to be evident to everybody. If you're in turmoil and you're anxious and you're pissed off because life isn't going how you planned and you want to punch a wall, get to the end of that and find the spirit of gentleness that's within you and humility. It's so within you, it's going to be evident to everybody. They're going to look and go, they're yielding to something I don't even know. They're yielding to the desire, the kindled fire that's within them. The calmness of God, the gentleness of God. That was number 2. Rejoice, let your gentleness be evident to everyone. It's so thorough. The Lord is near. Verse 6, and don't be anxious. What does it mean to be anxious? I'm giving you keys how to keep the fire of desire and finish this thing. I'm not saying you're leaving in a day, but how many months are you going to be here? What do you want to do? What are you doing here? You guys ever had someone overstay their welcome in your house? Like, dude, what are you doing here? Mop the floor or something, you know. Get something done. Oh, I'm just here to play video games. Nah, you're learning something way more than video games, right? You're so important. You're so valuable. There's a flame on the inside of you. There's a desire on the inside of you. It's so unique. It's so unique to your thumbprint. I can't even get close to it. What do you want to do? What do you want to finish this thing? Okay, so the next thing he said, don't be anxious. Don't give fear a voice. Now you're directing your desire. You want to direct the flame? There's a flame inside of you. It's the fire of God. It's the desire within you. Don't give fear a voice. I mean, I'm telling you, this is right in me all week, y'all. All week. I can hear fear's voice. It feels familiar. I want to listen to it. I mean, most of the time I go off by myself, it's because I can't even take it in. It's not other people. It's me caring what other people think. Or me taking on the responsibility of other people. It's really a voice within me. Okay? So it doesn't matter if you project that I need to help you when I don't want to help you. That's on you. Okay? But if I take it in me and start getting in all this false responsibility, if you're hearing it, it's on you. It's in you. It's not someone else. You there? So number one, rejoice, man, no matter what. And your gentleness, your humility is going to be so evident. You're not just keeping the letter of the law, you're keeping the spirit of it. Number three, don't be anxious. Don't be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer, in everything, attune in. Wherever you are, attune in to catch the wave. Shut your mouth. Prayer is not just saying what you want. Attune in. In everything. In everything. Attune in. You guys, when we were in the hospital when Darren was going, we were not praying for his healing anymore. We weren't. There's things happening in Tijuana that was just sent to me that is stuff we prayed for while we were there. We're seeds going in the ground. I knew he was going. He knew he was going. Most of the prayers that we were saying for him to stay were out of our soul anyway. That's right. For ego. Because I'm going to miss that form. Okay? But the dude wanted to go. And so then we began to pray for Justice, baby Justice, who's about to have a birthday. We began to pray for justice in the earth. We began to pray for the attunement of God. Didn't bring us to his healing anymore. The attunement showed us the tunnels underground that need to be exposed of the children that were being trafficked. The attunement in all things, begin to attune. I don't care how much pain you're in, attune into God. Within your inner man, there's a fire. Attune into it. And then he says, by prayer and petition. Some scriptures say supplication. So this is directing your desire. Now we're going to cultivate it. Okay? A petition or a supplication is, once you attune in, what your request is, hold it. Hold it. It's like a petition coming up before. It doesn't mean you keep just begging and begging and begging. That's not what it's talking about. It's saying, once you have it, I want to finish while I'm here, Paul's like, I want to finish my course. Man, I don't know what's driving me, but it's in me, man. I was married to a man that he knew what he was here to do, and he's driven. How attractive is that? That's what I tell my girls. It's not how you look or how you act or your personality. It's that you know why you're here. There's something in you that people want to follow you until they can learn why they are here. You were not meant to wander around here lost, not knowing. And it doesn't have to be this great thing. It's to first live in peace. I'm not saying you're going to run for president. I mean, although we need you to. I mean, we do. I mean, I'm talking to everybody out there. Russell is running for president. Okay. That's a T-shirt. Russell is my Labradoodle out there. So, okay. So then he says, attune into it, and then hold your desire. Cultivate your desire. Here's the fire. Keep it. Keep it. The petition. And then the last thing he says, with everything in thanksgiving. That word is gratitude. In everything, celebrate the increase. In everything, man, we're so thankful. That's if I'm not bowing, you can, if you throw me in the fire, I'm not bowing, or whatever. If God delivers me, I'm not bowing. If he does deliver me, I'm not bowing. That's the deal. That's what I'm here to do. Now I'm going to celebrate. And I'm so grateful I have breath. I'm so grateful. And this is how he lived. He later said in Timothy, here he's talking to Timothy, Paul was intentional with his desire. He's talking to his son Timothy. 2 Timothy 4:7, I fought a good fight. The course is completed, and I have kept the faith. Can you imagine? Man, I finished it. They're out for his life. They were killing him all day long. He was dying every day. It was literally talking about them hunting him down and dying him. And his feet had been crushed. He'd been on shipwrecks, and he'd starved, and he's telling all these different things. And now he's telling his son Timothy, man, I did it. I finished it. Like, what do you guys want? What are you here to do? Why are you here? I finished it, man. I'm not saying it's to just accomplish something that we can see, okay? If you know that you're here to be perfected in love, that could be something and you're in your house every day and no one sees it, but it begins to develop in you. And all of a sudden you begin to see the truth of who you are and you're like, I did it. I did what I came to the earth to do. All right, we're almost done. We're almost done. He says, man, I finished it. I finished the race. That word finish is, I consummate. Everything's done. It's completed the task the Lord has given me, the task of testifying the good news of his grace. That's it, Acts 20:22. He said it again. Now let's go back to the last thing I said at the beginning before we were recorded. When we said, because we were told that this is no longer a church, that we're an inclusive, an all-inclusive community. That's what Don Keesley called us. I don't know if we'll put that on the paper. People will be like, yeah, everything goes, woo! But our goal is not to separate from people according to their belief and how they act, and not to gather according to belief. You believe what you want. I don't have power over your belief. I mean, I guarantee you, I don't care how many churches you're a part of, and if they give you the card, if you start going out individually and they weren't going to get in trouble for believing different, everyone believes different. Okay? No one has ever come to my house for dinner and said, how does your kids believe? That's not what family is. But this is how they've controlled culture. They have to separate us. Okay? This is how religion has done it. So last scripture, Matthew 5:44. Well, he's talking the whole time. He's like, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Don't resist an evil person. He's telling them all these things. Verse 42, give to the one who asks you, and don't turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Verse 43, Matthew 5:43. You've heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. Here we go. But I tell you, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. Verse 45, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. Does that mean if I can earn, if I'm good enough, I get to be your kid, God? No. That means if I'm releasing love and letting the nature of who I am flow through me, I'm my Father's kid. You see me, you've seen the Father. We are love. We are one. There's only God. Okay? Then he goes on to say, because God causes the sun to rise on evil and the good. He sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Verse 46. If you love those people who love you, what reward do you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even the pagans do that? And here's our scripture. Verse 48. Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Teleos is in the Greek. Reach your end. Be mature. Like Paul was saying, finish your desire. Be full grown. That's when he said, I finished my course. This is the word he used. The word in Aramaic means be complete, whole, and all-inclusive. Let love flow through you to everybody. Don't withhold from anybody. That's not natural from our carnal stand. If someone hurts you, you want to withdraw at the very least. Right? But that place where you're withdrawing, you're literally stopping the flow of love. Will you show that picture one more time up there? The place where we're withdrawing, the place where we're hiding, the place where we literally stop the flow that gives us health and brings healing to the world. And the nature of you is love. I went to a wedding one time, and I was a little bit anxiety to go. I hadn't been around these people in a really long time. And the whole time I'm in this space, and I said, it was a 6-hour drive. I said, I am the nature of love. I'm not here for answers. I don't need to find out what happened in the past. It doesn't matter what happened. I'm here to do this right here and release love. It's more than a conduit, because it's every cell of who I am. It's God, right? And so I literally walked in, and I mean, I'm just sitting here just meditating on it and how beautiful it is. And I walked in and just released it. Now, did I have emotions when I saw people? Yeah, but guess what? I'm the observer of the emotions. Yeah. Listen, I don't really understand this, of course, but is God everywhere? Is God spirit? Is God outside of time or beyond time and space? Not bound by it. So are we. It's not necessarily memory in spirit. When it says the sons know the mysteries, it's always mystery. The sons don't have to know with their mind. The sons are familiar with mystery because every day is new. Everything they see is new. Their minds are still looking at it. But it's beyond the mind that they begin to comprehend or experience. They know the mystery. That's like Adam knew Eve. It's an intimate knowing. They know mystery. It's the mind that has to make it fit. It's the mind that makes your doctrine have to fit. Your belief system have to fit. It's the mind that wants 1 + 1 = 2. Right? But the mystery of who we are is the joy. It's the river. It's what you don't know what's around the corner and you trust. That's what faith is. That's what love is. That's the joy that's why we've been walking around so depressed. That's why we want adventure and we're looking for it other places. Because in the flow of mystery, it's our atmosphere, guys. We've ripped ourselves off from our atmosphere. And we've withheld. And then in our mind, we condemn ourselves for withholding, and it keeps us attached to a realm that we weren't created to live in. We are only love. That word love is fire, passion, burning. We are here to bring the light of the world. We're the flame. So what are we here to do? So my challenge to you, my challenge to me is even writing it down. Not all the things you want to accomplish, but let's say you have 24 hours or 2 weeks. What do you want to do? What do you want to get? You know, when you walk across that stage and you just graduated 3rd grade, the earth is a 3rd grade baby. What do you want it to say on that certificate? Paul was like, man, I finished it. You know, he's done a lot more since then. A lot more. He actually went out smaller than whenever, as far as in stature in this world, than whenever he started. A demotion in the natural very often, it looks like a demotion often, and it's a promotion in the spirit. Discovery. Hey, would you pull up that song, Saddle Up Your Horses, by, what's his name? Stephen Curtis Chapman. And we're going to crank that song up as we leave. The adventure. My mom and dad got a divorce after 28 years, and my mom went up to Washington to take care of her dad was in a coma. And this guy that liked her in high school asked her out, and they started dating. She's been married to him now for 30 years or something. And it was so cute when we had a big Italian wedding. My mom did all the cheesecakes and froze them, and we did the pastas, and my mom's Italian. And my brother gives a toast. There's 5 of us. You guys remember my brother. He's intense. He gives a toast at the wedding. He said, I just want to thank you, Warren, for waiting 30 years to marry my mom so we could be here. We're all crying. Like we would have missed it. But anyway, I'll never forget when she drove back into Oklahoma from Bellingham, Washington, been on this journey of releasing her dad. Her dad was an extremely abusive man. Letting healing flow through her and marrying a guy that wanted to marry her in high school, y'all. Like he had spent kind of his life, he was an alcoholic for years. He ended up being single. He went to meetings with Catherine Coleman. I mean, come on. Anyway, and I'll never forget, my mom has all her windows down. She's blonde. Like, when did you get blonde? And she has this song playing at the loudest. And it's adventure. It's adventure. Listen, we're not going to get stuck. We're not tied to time and space. We're here to ride this adventure out. What's the desire in you? Stand up with me. Go ahead and crank it.